Hello everyone. We're going to create this web application here called student registration. And the goal is to learn how to read a CSV file. So the client is going to enter those three inputs there and press register, the button register at the bottom here. And those information are sent over to a server. And the server processes them. You're going to check those three inputs, those credentials, against a CSV file. Okay, so let's start this. I already have my my AMP server up and running. Right? Remember, I have a MacBook, so it's called MEMP. If you have a Windows, it'll be WAMP, and if you have a Linux machine, it's going to be a LAMP. I have the two servers there up and running. I should say the three servers: Apache server, MySQL server, and also the PHP is already configured to work with those guys there. So let's go ahead and start our web page. So I'm going to open up my editor here. I command edit. I'm going to start a new file here. And since I'm using a web server, the web server, which is Apache, right, recommends to store inside of the document root directory. In my case, is right here, inside my MEMP, my application, where I store the application, and there is the subfolder called htdoc. This is my document root directory. Inside that, I'm going to go into Spring 2020, and I'm going to create another folder here, right? I'm going to create another folder here, new folder, and I'm going to call that WA Web Application Process CSV. So here on my file, I'm going to save as here, save as, and I'm going to go straight to that location there, my document root directory, MEMP, htdocs, Spring 2020, right here inside of that one. Make this an HTML file, so all files, and we're going to call that guy there WA process csv.html. Okay, so it's a simple web page, HTML. I'm going to have the head there, a title, student registration. We're going to go to the body here. We're going to have an H2 here with the same student registration here. Student registration. I'm going to use a form to send the inputs over to the server. Well, actually, I'm a developer, so I'm going to store this file here in the server also. So I'm going to put here a form, action. We're going to call the program that processes this form WA, the same name actually, except the extension, process underscore CSV, PHP. We're going to use PHP. And let's get those inputs. Né? The first one is going to be first name, input type, text. We're going to put an ID here. First name, txt.bx. We're also going to do a name. First name, txt.bx. The name is to be, so we can read this input, but the ID I'm going to use to validate this form, okay? First name, let's do a required. Required is HTML5, so some browser want to implement that attribute. Required, we're going to put an autofocus here. autofocus. That'll do. And I'm gonna let's put a space here, NBSP. And just copy and paste this and change the names there, control. This will be our last name. First name, this input, the ID is gonna be L name, and the name is gonna be L name txtbx. Let's do our ID. Put a paragraph here. ID, input type. I can use a number there, of course, right? But I'm going to validate, and I'm going to use text ID txtbx name, also ID txtbx required. Also, just so we can satisfy the requirement, you can see here is a 3-digit number only, right? So let's put a placeholder there. Let's put a placeholder. So I'm going to put here like a hint, placeholder, and say here 3-digit only. So the idea is that another paragraph here, and the 2 buttons, right? So we're going to put here input type submit value register I put a space in between them, 2 spaces, P NBSP semicolon, no colon there. And the other button, type reset value, clear values. All right. So that's the form. Now we're going to validate the form, so we're going to put here on submit. We're going to return this Boolean function, check inputs. That's a semicolon here. Now let's write up this function here. So we're going to run a script here, script type text JavaScript function check inputs. So the first thing is read inputs, var input f name. How to read? You're gonna do document dot get element by ID. What I call f name txtbx. We're gonna apply the method value, and we'll let stream, just in case the user enter any space there in the beginning or at the end of the string there. And then just copy and paste this variable here. Control copy. First name, last name. Just change it here. The ID is last name. And here input ID, right? And then should be here ID txtbx. We read the tree, now we're going to validate. And the validation is no blanks. You don't want any blanks there. No blanks. The first and last name. Not numbers. We're not going to do extensive or strict validation. It means that we're not going to take it either first or last name as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 or something like that. But then we're gonna accept like John 22, Mary 11. Otherwise, we're gonna read. We have to read every single character of the input and make sure that it's not a number. So we're not going to be too strict here. First and last name, not numbers. And ID, 3 digits. Right? All right, so we're going to do one validation at a time. Let's validate if the input first name not equal to blank and is not a number, input first name. So we have this, right? And let's put the else right away here. The else we're going to do two things here. First, we're going to send an alert to the user saying that this alert. Now, send an alert is in some browsers also. If you have a pop-up, you don't allow pop-ups, you might not get that. So I have an alert here. It's saying here, please enter a valid first name. And then we return false. So we do the second condition, the same thing for the last name. Input L name is different from blank, and it's not a number. Input last name. So if satisfy both conditions, so the input is good. How about else here? Else, we're going to do the same thing, right? So I'm just copy and paste this guy here and put right there. The only thing we say, enter valid last name, right? Last name. And the third thing that we have to check here is the ID. If input ID is not equal to blank, and now I'm going to negate is not a number. If you negate is not a number, it means that it is a number. So we're going to say not is not a number of input ID. We're missing one more thing here, one condition here in ID, right? It's 3 digits, not only blank, it is a number, and one third condition here is that and input ID, that length is equal to 3. Okay, so if it equals to 3, so what does we have here? Let's put an else here, right? Else, we're going to do this guy here. Control V. Enter valid ID. Okay. Now, in case all the 3 conditions, all the 3 inputs are validated, all that we need to do here is just return it true, right? Return true. Right? And we are done here, right? Return false and everything. When you return, remember this function here, check inputs, is a Boolean. So if you have it here at the end, if you return true, means that go ahead and submit this. Let's save this. And let's get this. Now we are a client now. And we're going to go to a server and get this page. Right? All right, so let's do a command tab here. Oh, here we go. So you should HTTP localhost 88. In my case, it runs on that port. And you go all the way where that file is located, right? Okay, so we put here, just to check, we can register valid first name. We'll put the valid first name, Mary, right? And if you register here, we get the valid last name, right? Hash. If you put just numbers here, 222, then you should get the same alert here, right? Hash. And of course, register here, you need the valid ID. You put 123. Let's say if you put the ABC, for example, you should get also valid ID. You don't take letters, only numbers. If you take 1 to A, right, register here also. Won't take, it's only numbers. If you do 1, 2, 3, 4, remember the size that also you get that valid ID, right? As you saw here, when you did this, we didn't get the placeholder. Placeholder here also is HTML5 attribute, right? So depends if the browser, we can take this to a real browser and see if that placeholder show. So let me take this guy here and control copy and take to a browser, Safari here, and let me do here control V. You can see the idea here very faintly. It says 3 digits only, right? So inside of the commode edit, there's the browser, the built-in browser there. So if you bring it to the real browser, you see here the placeholder showing the 3 digits only, right? Okay. And also should implement also that if you click here, see fill out this field, that's the required, right? But I have the top of the line here, the newest version of the browser. Né? If you take to an old browser, you won't get those message here straight from the browser. Né? You'd get the message from the alert. Né? Okay, good. Let's go back there. Let's finish up this. So everything is working fine. So if you put here 1, 2, 3, you should get here the 404, right? Because the browsers try to look for that. You can see here is going to get here, pass all those information, but it's trying to look for that program there, WA underscore process underscore CSV.php, and we haven't worked on that file. All right, let's work now, right? This guy here. So let's work on that one. So let's put here file, new file, and we're gonna save as where document root directory. So I'm gonna go where I installed my AMP server, which is MEMP. Go to the document root directory, htdocs. I have a subfolder Spring 2020, and also this guy here, web application process CSV. And I'm gonna format all files, and I'm gonna call that guy WA underscore process underscore CSV.php. We're gonna use PHP to process this, the inputs, right? WA process CSV, okay, good. And let's start our PHP here. Put the delimiter here, PHP. All right. Let me blow a little more here so you guys can see. So what is the first thing we do here in PHP? Read the inputs. We don't need to worry about the validity of the inputs because the client did that for us. Remember, everything was done in JavaScript. So the file was there, the file was requested from the client to the server. The file was sent back, right? And when you get the HTML there with the JavaScript, the client itself runs the validation right there. Okay, so we got the PHP. So first thing we're gonna read the inputs. Right, PHP, every variable we're gonna put in the variables. Start with the $. $, we're gonna put here first name. So it was sent via the get method. So we're gonna do big G here, get, in square bracket. The name there is first name txt_bx. I'm gonna copy and paste that 2 more times here. Control copy, Control V, Control V. First name, last name. Here's also last name. Here is ID. Let me call that input ID. And here is ID txt_bx for text box. Okay, good. Now we're gonna take those inputs and go into a CSV file. Well, let's see, do I have my CSV file? Where do I put my CSV file? Well, exactly where the programs are located, inside that folder there. So I have here, let me bring that up, that folder, that file there. And is this guy here? Is that the student CSV? I'm gonna take this and put over here. CSV. If you wanna take a look on the what is that CSV has, you see there. It actually is a 500 records of people. This is very anonymous people. I didn't take anywhere. This doesn't mean they are students. Just anonymous. It's a 500 list of first name, last name, and an ID with a 3-digit ID. And the ID is unique. You don't find here. So the ID, if you want to take these and extend and put those on a which you're going to do later on, I'm going to show you how to do it on a database, right? Our database is going to be a MySQL. So since the ID is unique, you can make that your primary key, okay? So let me minimize, leave that on the side if you want to check it back then. Oh yeah, we have to get the real thing, the real records to make sure that it works. Eh? Okay, good. So we have the student SSV. Minimize this guy here. So now what I'm going to do here, the next code you're going to do is, so opening the CSV file for reading using the function fopen, PHP function fopen. So I'm going to do here, and store that in the variable, né? File, and you come here, fopen, the name of the file is student.csv, comma, R for reading, open for reading. You can put the W there for writing, then you write into the file, right? Suppose you're updating, or this is an insertion. You put there, register new students. If you find a student that's already there, you say you already registered. But in our case here, we're going to assume those students. We are just checking if the student is on the list. On that file. See, if the student is on a list, it means the student has been registered. So we're going to just send back a message to the student, say you already registered. That's the web application. Okay. Of open, right? So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to loop through the file. And read each line of the file. Using fget CSV. Now fget CSV, the function PHP, has 3 parameters. Is a file, line size, and delimiter. Okay. So the file is going to be this variable here, $sign. The line size is interesting here. If I don't know the size, right, of the line, it's going to be like 20 characters long, right, or something. So you put a 0 there. I say, well, which tells this function here, if it's 0, it means that it's an unlimited size. So that's the best way to do it. Put 0 there's right, unlimited size. The delimiter is going to be the comma, right? It's a CSV file, comma, separated value, so of course it's a comma. All right. So before we start the looping there, we're going to create two variables here. A variable representing a match, right? A match between inputs and the in-file variables. Remember that the CSV? The CSV is first name, comma, last name, comma, ID. So we're going to take the input, the first name input, make sure that is the first name. We're going to do 3 conditions. Actually, we can shorten that to just 1, since the ID is unique, right? But I'm going to make 3. Why? We're not going to do. I cannot guarantee that the ID is unique. You know? If you cannot guarantee, if you are working, for example, with a large set of names, like census, for example, millions, right? It's bound to have to happen a user data entry mistake, right? So if you want to really to ensure that it's correct, make sure that the first name and last name goes with the ID, right? Okay, good. So a variable here, we're going to call that variable $, found match. We're going to start off as false. Now, when you start reading the file, remember here, the very first line of the file is not really of importance. Right? You want the real records. This is just to say that the first line, the first string on the line is the first name, comma, the last name, comma, the ID, right? But then the first line should not be deleted, right? Remember, the idea here is to, if this is given to someone else, you will know exactly what every factor in that line is represented. The first one is the first name, the second the last, and the third the ID. Okay, so so we're gonna do here, create a variable, right, to skip the line, the first line of the CSV file. Let's write here redundantly, right? So we're gonna put here $reading and start with the 1. So the first reading, we not gonna do anything, and the second, the third, and afterwards we do something. We process that, right? So let's start here. So let's loop while we're gonna create this variable here called row, and is a result of f get CSV parentheses $ the file, right? We call file, comma, 0 for the size of the line, and the separator here, we can do double quote or single quote, it doesn't matter, comma. All right? So if this here, this here, we still have it here. If this here is not equal to false, meaning the end of the file, right? Any input error or end of the file, it becomes false. So we make sure the variable row is different from false. So if it's not, we're going to do if $reading is greater than 1. Obviously, the first time you read, it is not, right? So we're going to process that. And if it's not, else, we can set the reading to 2. Or if you are interested in knowing how many records were read, so we just add 1 to the reading. Reading plus plus. We let that leave that as optional. If anyone interested, how many records we read? Right? Okay. So if the reading is greater than 1, so we add 1, we go back to the loop. The second read, the reading now becomes 2. If his reading is greater than 1, yes. So we go inside here of the if. So what do we do here? Now we're going to compare that. Right? So now the row actually is an array, right? So the row is an array. F gets the evaluate as an array, right? And splitting every element of the line by comma, right? So we're gonna have here, we can have here, look here, $, first name in. Let's put the in file. First name in file is $row or element 0. First element of the line, of the array, I should say, right? Because row now is an array. So $, last name in file is equal to $, row of 1. And $, ID in file is equal to $, row of 2. That's the third element. Now we can compare, right? So we're going to say here is a big compare. We're going to compare every single one if we're going to use that string case compare, right? Meaning it can be lowercase. Remember, user input is really, user feel free to enter anything they want or the way they want, right? Capitalize the first letter for name, no, not need. Maybe they think no. So let's use that case insensitive. The string case compare, we're going to compare $, first name in file, or compare, it doesn't matter actually, compare the $, the input with what you have in the file, right? The input we call fname, comma, $, fname in file. If the string there result equal to 0, and let's use just and here. Go down here, string case compare $, first name, last name, comma, $, last name in file. If that is equal, two equal signs to 0, and the third and last one, this here, $, what do I call that? Input ID. So we're going to put the $, input ID, comma, $, ID in file. And if that result in 0, evaluate to 0. So first thing, we turn that Boolean value found the match, we turn that to true. What else we do? We print congratulations. We're gonna congratulation. We're gonna concatenate that congratulation, concatenate that with the $, first name in file. In file, concatenate that with the space. Concatenate with $, last name in file. Concatenate that with, and then we say here, you have been registered, or you are registered. No? Have been registered. Semicolon. And you break. Remember, we are inside the loop, right? Here's the end of loop. So we break. After the end of the loop, what do we do here? If $, found the match is still false, means that we could not find the match. So we just say here, print name and ID not found. And that should do for this web application. Okay? Let's save this. And now let's start from our HTML. Let's get that page there. So, okay, let's put the wrong one. Let's make up one, Mary, Ash, 2, 3, 4, register. Name ID not found, right? Name ID not found. And let's take one real one here. Okay. How about this one here? Mina Amigon 959. This one. Mina Amigon. So let's go back here. Let's put it here. Mina, it's two M's. I think it is. No, one M. Two N's, Mina. Two N's, but one M. Amigon. 959, and then register. Register Mina Amigon, you have been registered. Okay. Thank you for your attention.